There it goes. My last. The hell is that? Is that a bar?
No, I'm saying you're supposed to do the intro.
Oh, I am.
I
Okay.
know,
Oh
my
no, she
daughter. It's all
is.
good.
Yeah, yeah. Let's let Amanda do it. Hey,
No, it's
Amanda.
all good. She's out. She's out. We're live from the car, Joe. No, that says there goes my last fuck.
Yeah, we're live.
Yeah,
Um. So what is that? A cocktail napkin from a bar or something?
it was.
Like the dockyard?
We were at a little store in Macon, Georgia last night, and they had a collection of hand towels with philosophical wording like that.
Yeah. Well, I like
Yeah,
the sailboat going off into the. I presume that's the either the sunrise or the sunset.
yeah,
Um.
yeah. It's good shit. It's good shit.
So what else did
Um,
you guys pick up at the store? Did you guys get some
we
chitlins,
what did we pick up? My wife
pork
bought a
rinds,
rock.
pork rind?
My my wife bought a rock, literally,
All right.
and
I like. I like rock.
Now she's dying laughing that I said that because she does knows how ridiculous that sounds. Oh,
No,
I
look, when
forgot to do
I
my new intro.
yeah, dude, I can't see you either. You're blacked out. Just so you
Oh,
know.
I guess if I switch over, hold on, I'm getting a screenshot. Keep talking. Tell everybody how great I am.
No, when I was back to the rock collection, when I was
I am
out
a
at
Bradley.
Zion or Grand Canyon, they have all these awesome rock stores out there with
Oh
crystals and
yeah,
amethyst, and so I've always been a collector of that since I was
yeah.
third grade or something like that.
It's actually a really beautiful, cool rock. So it's not, but I'm not sure it's quite worth what we paid for it. But maybe someday it'll accrue in value.
Yeah, well, the thing with art is you buy it because you like it.
That's it, and that was exactly it. She loved the design of it, so that was
Perfect.
good. That was good.
Excellent. I like that sunroof you got up there,
What's
buddy.
going
That's
on with
nice,
you
man.
today, Joe? Any news? Yeah,
Just
we
freezing.
got the big double sunroof in the minivan. Look at that. We got another one in the back too.
I didn't see that one. That's
Yeah, yeah,
awesome, dude.
yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
no,
It's like this
what did I do
it's a
yesterday?
plug-in hybrid minivan. Well, you're having a better
Yeah, I
day
haven't.
than Avi.
God damn,
Avi's
I
not
saw
having a
that,
good
man.
day. Do you remember Avi? Do you remember us discussing
Mr.
Avi?
Mango? Mr.
Yeah,
Mango?
Mr. Mango. Mr. Mango. We had a big discussion about how he thought he was never going to get in trouble because code is law. And I think it kind of speaks back to what you talk about all the time when it doesn't fucking matter what you think. If prosecutors decide you're manipulating prices or any other way, what's the old line? They can a
Who
grand jury
walks
can
like a
indict a
duck and.
peanut butter sandwich.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like if you somehow think that that was just going to be like okay. And by the way, if you have $100 million, what are you still doing in a fucking U.S. jurisdiction? I mean, obviously that arrogance is was big time arrogance, like the whole big thing, kind of crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it has. You got to go. I mean, not you, but I think listeners and protocol developers or, wannabe white hat hacker types, it doesn't matter what you think it is. It's what the other people think it is.
That's right.
And unless, I mean, at least, I mean, I guess he probably has some lawyer money stashed so he can
Yeah, I'm
get the
sure.
best deal. But, in that situation in particular, there's all the other laws, the
Yep.
breaking into computer system stuff, which is probably a slam dunk in this situation, no
Well,
matter
for
what.
him, he thought that he was going to get away with it because the code allowed you to do it. And look, that's
Yeah.
not an that's not an illogical argument, right? But at the end of the day, if the prosecutors decide they think you stole $100 million, they're going to
They're
find
going
a
to go
way.
after
And
you.
there's so many laws on the books. Yeah, there are so many laws on the books. They'll find a way to make you a criminal, and that.
Well, the other thing, yeah, think of it like
Um,
a house too, or a bank. Just because they leave the door unlocked and you walk in and steal all the money doesn't make it okay. It might not be breaking and entering, but it's still
right.
theft or trespassing or all those other things. So, just because the code
Wait,
allows it doesn't
wait.
make it okay. I think
Yeah,
you're breaking up a
absolutely.
little bit,
I'm going to
buddy.
put a link in the show. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Perfect.
Joe, can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you, buddy. Yes, I'm
Yep.
here.
This is gonna. Okay.
You can't see
Okay.
me either? Yeah, we're good.
So this, my buddy. Yeah, I'm breaking up. Fuck. I can't get anything
Yeah,
to play.
Gabriel Shapiro. Well, I was reading this earlier. What is I can follow up with this stuff. Let's see. Yeah, no, I saw this when you tweeted it. Um, and
The
about
links
whether
in
or not
the
it's good or
group.
okay. In the
If you want to
comments.
read the whole tweet thread.
Yeah, I looked at it a little bit. Good for DeFi or bad for DeFi? I don't even put it in either or, to be
He
honest.
says bad.
Um,
He says bad for DeFi.
yeah, I mean,
He says
we
because
talked.
he thinks. I mean, essentially, what he's saying is. Go ahead. It's okay. I'm breaking up, so you just go ahead and talk.
Oh no, I wasn't trying to talk over you. My apologies. Uh, I don't know. I mean, look, I think we talked a lot about this too. That it kind of gives these people a free put when they could go in and test and probe and break into things, and then go, "Oh no, I was just testing security." Well, up until the point when you have all the crypto and nobody's caught on to you, what do you do then? Are you still testing
Yeah,
security,
but
or
this wasn't
what?
this.
Hmm?
This wasn't a hack. This was an exploit of the
The
code.
mango one?
And
Yeah.
yeah, it was an exploit of governance, and so he did flash loans and took the money that way. So, and that's why he thought he was okay doing it, right? He was proudly pronouncing code is law. The code was there. I could do it, so I did it, right? And what the prosecutor said was, oh yeah, you could do it, but we call that price manipulation because the way he got away with the money was flash loaning to manipulate the actual price of the thing. Now, the other thing that's interesting here that Gabriel talks about, and I'll put a link to the show notes. Um, it's AT&T devs, dude. AT&T. I'll put a link to the show notes to Gabriel, but um, they actually label it a commodity. Now, Gabriel's point is he thinks that's the easiest way for them to prosecute this. And that's why, and that we shouldn't read into it not being labeled a security. But I still find it interesting. Gabriel's point is that basically precedents can get set in this case, and
Yeah.
we don't want precedent set. We want the code to police itself, and in this case, the code failed. Right? It was bad code. The code failed. The exploit happened, and this guy's now, probably going to prison because he's going to have to do a deal.
Yeah. Well, I get the code is law argument, of course, but I think there's like it's another one of these situations where there's multiple categories of people involved and multiple different interests. To me, it's like I guess the people that put the money in too have a certain expectation as to safety.
Yeah.
So if the code breaks, at that point, you're still defrauding the people who put the money in, regardless of whatever's wrong with the code. Because it's just like, the smoking in public thing. And everybody's like, I can smoke wherever I want. And then the other people are like, you can't smoke where I can smell it. So you get these competing interests or where, rights kind of tend to meet into the gray area and it has to be determined. I actually, I don't know. I have to read more thoroughly to see why Gabriel doesn't want the precedent set, but I kind of would like to see someone set a precedent on if code is law or not. It would seem to clarify a lot of things. I think they're going to do it here unless he pleads out or something, which might be the case if he's got all the money still. But I don't know. What do you think?
Well, look, I mean, I think at the end of the day, we want the code to be able to protect users from this shit. And the fact is that the developers did a crappy job and made it easy for this guy to manipulate it. I mean, it was like, I remember him writing up a detailed review of how he did it
Mm-hmm.
on Twitter. So he's already presented the evidence, right? I mean, his attorney is going to make a deal because his attorney is
Yeah.
going to be like, dude, you admitted the crime on Twitter. You detailed how you did it on Twitter. And then other people verified it. So at the end of the day, I would prefer that we actually think through our code well enough to not allow exploits like this. I do think that, look, I think the authority to charge for price manipulation sucks. In this case, this is an American with an arrogant attitude who was in Puerto Rico when he got busted, and
Hmm.
he got what he deserved, right? He's an immoral asshole. He stole money from people, he screwed over a bunch of people, and he's an asshole. At the end of the day, the code allowed him to do it.
Well, so then do you think, I guess what I'd be intrigued by is then the developers have can they be sued for liability
Well,
now?
the interesting thing is that Gabriel says is that in these types of cases like UkiDAO, the developers may get charged as well.
Hmm.
And he's saying because of I don't know what he would charge him with, some negligent related thing in financial crimes. I don't know, but he did mention in his thread that yeah, the developers will usually get some kind of charge, or maybe it's a security suit against them or something. I don't know, and I don't even know if they're doxed or anonymous or what. But anyway,
Yeah, it's
guy
tricky
screwed up.
all around. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
tricky all around. And when you go around talking shit, talking trash all the time about how great you are about something that's, in many jurisdictions would be a crime, that's just stupid.
it's just
It's just,
stupid. It's just he's a
yeah,
fucking idiot. Yeah,
yeah. I know. And
yeah,
Damon was saying coming after the devs is pretty terrifying to him. Yeah, I agree. It's you got to know the people who are running the protocols that you're advising or consulting to, I guess.
yeah,
I mean, there's no other way to get around it. Or if you're building something, do it right. If you're in the U.S., either don't do it or do it in a way that is as close to proper as you can. I mean, there's no
yeah.
specific rules, of course.
Right.
So, it might be better just to lay low for a little bit until rules get put in place
Yeah.
or pick a jurisdiction where it's okay. But it's definitely something to think about because if people misuse the protocol, they're going to try to extend liability out to who
Yep.
built it. I'm not
That's
saying
right.
it's going to work. I'm not saying it's going to work. I don't
Who
know,
knows?
but it's just a risk, something to think about in your head from a risk management standpoint. And certainly
Right.
don't run around. Like if I remember correctly, what was it? What was the Dow one? Uki Dow. I
UkiDAO.
remember their big old wrinkle was that they were telling the investors that, you know,
Yeah.
oh,
This
don't
will
worry, they can never figure
protect
out what
us.
we're doing. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
this will protect
Whereas,
us from securities.
yeah, and so anytime you get dialogue like that, that's in digital capture mode, as I like to call it, where there's a record of it, that shows intent, and it shows all
Yep.
these things that the regulators do not like. Your best move is to just if you're pushing gray area, you know, um, don't be bragging about it. Do it right, and then get into a situation where you're not in trouble.
Yep.
But this is not the time
Yep.
because they're taking heads right now. So
Yeah, they're trying to set an example. Everybody wants the notch in their belt. Everybody wants to
yeah,
be the hero. So I tweeted this out this morning, I guess. Was it this morning? I don't know. And I wrote, as disappointed as I still am with how Andre exited his projects, his lack of apology to the teams and investors he harmed, and his regulatory comments, I am so impressed with what he is doing to lead Phantom Foundation right now. He is rebuilding a brand that seemed to be fading. He put out a letter to the foundation team talking about what they're focused on, how they're going to focus. He's been added to the board, and I think the synthesis here of what he's trying to get across is we are going to be focused upon building the best performing uh, layer one chain in the world. And their new FVM capabilities are going to supposedly remove the bottlenecks that all blockchains have with the virtual machine functionality. I was just thoroughly impressed with this. My camera's going to fade because I'm going to pull up the actual letter he wrote. So bear with me 1 second while I go to it because I do want to go through what he talks about in the letter. Anyway, my point is that you and I have bashed him a lot for his shitty behavior when he bailed on everyone, and that seems to be striking a chord with folks. But I also want to applaud him for really doing a fantastic fantastic job of leading right now, the Phantom Foundation, because he took a brand that, frankly, I really felt was dying a slow death and could potentially die off, and has refocused it, seems to be rebuilding the team. He talked about the marketing and the biz dev as being their big weak points, and they had too small a team, and they're going to staff up, and they're making big changes over there. He talks about they're going to start doing what Kanto is doing. They're going to start giving a share of all gas revenue to dApps based on the gas use that they generate. Now, they're not doing it so that it's only for people that are fee free like Kanto, but they're still doing it, and that's great. They're setting up a gas subsidy system that allows for dApp interaction for anyone that needs to get onto a dApp without a wallet needing to have FTM in it. And they're going to make it so that you don't even have to have FTM. If you have a wallet, you can use other tokens to pay fees as well. They are The Phantom Virtual Machine with a new storage mechanism is coming. That's their greatest focus from a technology standpoint. The EVM is their greatest bottleneck, and being able to unlock this will allow us to reach towards the physical limitations of hardware. And that seems to be a big focus of what he talks about on the tech side. Is they want to get to the point where the only thing keeping Phantom slow is hardware. That there is no longer any code in that blockchain that is actually preventing greater speed. It will always be about hardware on the chain itself.
I think you're breaking up, buddy. Yeah, I can't hear Brad. I don't know if everybody else can, but look, this is good news, obviously. And we've talked a lot about Phantom in the past and the various protocols on there. Geist and Spirit Swap and Boo and all the other ones. Treeb is another one I remember, pretty interesting. Transaction fees are low. It's fast. I saw it kind of go into the sideline for a bit. Yeah, I guess Brad's in a dead zone on 95 right now. But I always have liked it. And I was always concerned once I saw Polygon and Matic really going to it's weird that his screenshot is still sitting there. Oh, now it's gone. It's always concerned, but I think that, in comparison to Solanas and Avalanches and all of those, I mean, to me, it could be the chain for all the big DeFi applications and other things that were sort of a hub spinning out to the other chains. So it's good news all around. I mean, I kind of garbled up a bit, and then I just started talking about Phantom and my perspective. I don't know Andre's.
How far did you hear the points that I was talking about from his letter?
A couple paragraphs in.
So did you hear about gas subsidies and gas monetization?
Yes. Yep.
Did you hear about the new Phantom virtual machine?
Yes. I think as far as making it easier to get over that hurdle is what you said.
And did you hear me talk about that their main goal from a software perspective is to get it to the hardware limits of the computing infrastructure on the blockchain? So their goal is to take the code to the point where the only thing slowing it down anymore is hardware capability.
Well, that's beautiful. No, I didn't hear all of that. That was probably where it was garbled. No, that's impressive. So the scaling limit then is the hardware limit.
That's where they think the new Phantom virtual machine and the new storage mechanisms will get them to, is that the only limit will be the hardware on the chain that's executing the virtual machine.
That's impressive.
On marketing and funding, they're going to be doing a lot more of it. They're talking about in the end of quarter one, start of quarter two, new biz dev and new marketing and bigger teams for them so they can be more aggressive. He fully admits how weak it's been, and that he says that the reason for it is the team was just too small to be able to do anything. But talks about how they're going to expand that and how they're optimistic and how they have plenty of money for 30 years. So I got to tell you, I am thoroughly impressed with the way he kind of took the reins here when Phantom seemingly was kind of dying a slow death and boosted it up. And at the same time, there's been increase of activity on the chain. So thoroughly impressed with everything they're doing over there and what they're doing to try to make it better.
Yeah, look, I mean, I don't know. Gosh, I think it's trading around 20 cents FTM right now.
Yeah.
And you clearly saw that going up into, I think where did that end up at $2 in the last
Yep.
cycle at the high, 2 to 3.
Yep. Yep.
And I think I was in there at 3 or 4 cents. And so, sitting here at
Yep.
20 with that kind of initiative, I mean, look, this is one for the next cycle. That's for darn sure.
Absolutely. And now Phantom has moved up to number 8 on TVL on DeFi Llama.
Mm-hmm.
Let me take a look and see what kind of growth they had. I'm taking to see if they've had any real growth over the last couple of days. I think last week they did see a little surge in deposits and more people coming in. So it's good to see. Anyway, I'm glad to see all that. I'm excited. I'm excited for what's going on at Phantom, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's good move all around. Take on the
Yep.
next level. All right, so here we go. Niblets had a good comment here. Can you see it? But the weak link isn't tech, it's ops and governance. What is in place to prevent his ego from damaging the project as it has already?
Yeah, I agree, dude. I totally agree with you, Niblets. I think what it seems to me he's trying to do is grab the reins, get the communications out there, which were horrible. Nobody knew what the hell was going on within the foundation. So I think he's breaking through that. And then I think his goal is to really show that they're building out pieces of the team. He talks about specific people in the letter. I think what he wants to do is start pushing more of the team members out front so that people realize it's not all him, right? He's still writing code on the virtual machine, but he's not running everything. There are a lot of people on this team. They have, I don't know, 60 to 70 people on the core foundation team, and then they have a whole slew of developers that work for them as well. So my feeling is he's trying to make that progression and that move. And I don't think he wants to be the lead guy. I saw an interview with him where he talked about the fact that he's worried about the fact that he might get arrested someday, whatever, for his projects. I think he doesn't want to be the face, but for right now, he realizes that he had to yank this thing before it went all the way off the cliff. He's kind of like pulling it back from the edge, and then he's going to hopefully allow the rest of the team to lead. But we'll see. But Niblets, I think your point is absolutely valid that you still have to be careful with that. But even at the time, the biggest impact he had was on the projects that were his projects, right? That he didn't, and it was all about communication. It was all about him just doing a piss poor job communicating what was happening, and the fact that there were already teams assigned to all of those, but everyone else out the public perception was that he was the one doing everything. And so when he yanked out like that with that shitty ass tweet, then everyone thought, oh my God, Phantom's going down. It wasn't the case. There were plenty of people running all of the projects. So I think that was a more significant impact. The interesting thing is the thing kept motoring along when everybody thought he wasn't involved. He actually was still involved. But I agree, Niblets, it's something we have to be careful of. But hopefully he has enough sense this time around to make sure other people are seen as part of the team. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, I mean, anytime you're scaling at that like that, you're going to build up those infrastructure teams quietly. And it sounds like I didn't realize he had 70 people going strong there. But we've always pointed out the weakness was the strategic partnership effort as far as, from a BD or corporate development perspective.
Yep.
It sounds like they're fixing that too. My question, Brad, is what is that? Who was that other guy? Or something like that. That I don't want to just pick an ethnicity.
The guy that funds the annual Phantom show.
Is that it? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how does he fit into all of this still?
Look, he's just a toxic ingredient in the network. He has his own projects. I don't think he's on the foundation in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, good. Okay.
He does pay for the Phantom annual dev conference. Harry.
That's right.
Yeah, Harry Yee. But I think he's a toxic ingredient in Phantom because of the way he has shilled and run projects on his way to, getting as much money as he can out of the ecosystem. But hopefully the rest of the ecosystem can just ignore him and move on. We'll see what happens.
Shizzy has a comment.
Yeah, Shizzy says Andre linking with Danielle for solidly was just a horrific mistake for him, and I think it really exhausted Andre. Yeah, I'm sure that whole clusterfuck really did put him in a bad position, right? Because Daniel collapsed shortly thereafter, and we had all of the cascading liquidations that happened after that point. So I do think that was a huge impact on him. I think he look. This isn't the first time Andre's thrown a fit and taken his toys and gone home, right? It's just get more mature about communicating it. Like, just be an adult and let people know, yes, I'm throwing a hissy fit and I'm leaving, but there are plenty of people here still running shit, so don't worry about it, right? That was the problem. And yeah, I think the solidly deal with Danielle was a big part of it, right? Look, I mean, it's all of these guys and their arrogance.
Yeah, question. Was that the one where you were like basically holding and then betting on when it was going to collapse or something like that? I seem to remember.
No, that was the massive liquidity play he did for the projects, and so the projects could get whitelisted for, I think it was the top 10 to get the NFT, and then the yields were really high, so people were piling in money, and then the projects were piling in money, and then the projects were encouraging their fans to pile in money because they wanted the liquidity that was going to come from Solidly, right? And so then Danielle and company were going to leverage that. They had sushi that they were supposedly taking over at the time. So
That's right.
it was incredibly successful. It moved a shit ton of TVL onto the chain. Like it was massive. But I don't think they really thought through the repercussions of the whole system. There was also some controversy with a number of developers in the Phantom ecosystem at some of the other protocols. I'm not going to name specific names, but a number of the developers at other protocols were pulled in to help with Solidly, and they kind of got screwed over during the whole process. I don't think it was intentional. I think it was just the chaos of that project ended up with some of them getting a bad rap when they didn't really deserve it because they were involved with it, and then the aftermath of it caused some reputational damage to some folks. But you know, look, at the end of the day, it moved a ton of TVL into the platform. It just didn't do what it was supposed to because the Danielle thing caused a bigger mess.
Yeah, and those guys were all involved in so many other projects at the same time. Remember all the rebasing stuff going on.
Yep.
So,
yep.
I
Absolutely.
mean, like you said, it's you kind of have to concentrate on a couple versus trying to run 3 or 4 multi-billion-dollar plays.
Absolutely.
I mean, we sort of see that going on in the real world right now with Senior Musk. Can't handle those two.
What's going on with Tesla today? Where's it sitting?
I haven't really looked, but there's a lot of info out there that with all the other formerly big 3 automakers are just launching stuff left and right.
Yeah.
And he's not. There's a battle going on over market share, and they're losing market share.
He could get killed just by the Ford F-150, dude. That thing is getting rave reviews. I mean, I would love to have one of those trucks. And the price point destroys Tesla. Tesla's sitting at 110.02 right now.
Yeah. So what's the market cap? Like 380 billion or something like that? What was that yesterday? We were looking. What's that short number we're targeting? 89, right? Is 89 when everybody goes underwater? Okay.
Yep.
It's not too far away there. I mean, I can see people. I know everybody's piling
on. Yeah.
I think a lot of people are piling on.
If you're a big institutional in this, are you DCAing down or dumping away?
No, I think you're just shorting the hell out of it.
Yeah.
Holding your stock and shorting because, you've got your position already. And if it is negative and it goes to zero, I mean, it's not going to zero, but I'm saying if it does take a huge hemorrhage, then you're going to clean up. I watched this with Cliff Resources, I think, based out of Cleveland, iron ore pellet manufacturer. Did a big turnaround like 15 years ago, and the hedge fund guys in New York took it over. And it went from like 28 to like 1. And that's when I learned my lesson of those, I was talking to those guys and I'm like, oh, you guys must be really bumming. He's like, no, we're shorting this all the way down. And then we're going to pile in at $1. And I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now. So, anybody who's super long on it has a lot of, just like, how Sean does his strategy, with the stacks and like straddling around it, shorting and longing around the holding. These guys are playing the same game. And I would suspect that they're doing it heavy here now.
Niblet says Tesla has a decades-old design, poor reliability, and lots of brand new competitive products. I just saw a Consumer Reports article that said that it is the worst ranked first-year reliability of any vehicle,
Wow.
which I was pretty shocked by. I know people that have them; they don't seem unhappy with them. I think the advantage that the smartest thing I think Elon Musk ever did was bringing battery manufacturing in-house. I think that puts them in a superior position from a tech perspective and profit margin perspective. I don't know how much they produce. I don't know all the details of it. Just from a business perspective, it seemed like a really smart strategy. But if their tech is that old, they're going to have to start upgrading. But frankly, 2 months ago, he could have been doing a lot of that via acquisition. Now,
Yeah.
now I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I think he's stretched too thin. And, I saw another stat, I think this morning or yesterday, which was um, that, I guess up until last year or for most of its history, when you bought a Tesla, I guess you had to wait for a couple months to get it or something like that. Well, now
Yeah.
supposedly they're getting them in like days.
Yeah.
So they're taking that as an indicator of slackening demand. I don't
Well, and
know if
here's the
it's
thing.
true or not, but
Well, it's like, remember that article we were reading last week about the auto loan companies, all the banks now are allowing multiple loans for the people that are underwater on the vehicles they bought at the peak prices during COVID. So there is this massive expectation that what's coming here is a shit ton of inventory unloaded back into the market from defaults on these car loans, like a ton. So I think it's going to get really interesting for all these auto manufacturers. I mean, they've already sold it and they've already got their money from the banks, but I think there's going to be a lot of inventory, used inventory, not very old inventory, competing against their new inventory. So I think it's going to get really
yeah.
interesting to see what happens. Nissan Leaf, the new version of that, is getting rave reviews. People love it. That's an inexpensive EV. This is going to get real interesting. And here's the bottom line:
Well,
the people buying Elon's cars were the people who were buying them because they wanted to change the world, right? They wanted to offset climate change, and they're not so happy with him anymore, and they're not going to buy from him if there are other opportunities to buy
well,
from other people. Shizzy said,
you know,
I was looking into the loan Elon took. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was going to say, and one other thing I noticed in reading was that, now Elon is being regarded as a partisan political figure, as a right wing political
Yeah,
figure is the way the market's starting to define him. So he's partisanized this company, Tesla. And you know what that means? That,
yep,
progressives and everybody else that were his natural market, the ones that want to be the do gooders and stuff like that, they're not going there anymore because they put him in
yep.
the same category with every other demon that they want to focus at. So, if I was a shareholder of Tesla, I would be infuriated by that alone because you don't want to do this. You want to sell to everybody. It doesn't matter. It shouldn't be people perceiving your brand within a partisan prism. That's a mistake. So I think that's hurting him too. But
Yep.
look, he did a great job into this, creating the space basically, and excelling in the space. Yeah, I used a lot of government subsidies to get there. A lot of stuff that some people might call government handouts and things like that. But that's the benefits in this market. You use them when you can. So
Hold on. And now
but
there's a
F
whole
one
brand new
fifties,
set of
electric
incentives.
Mustangs, yeah, and electric Mustang. I mean, look, people like Mustangs because it's the Mustang. People like the F-150 because it's the F-150. Because you change the transmission or the fuel system or power system to where it's electric, that only makes them want to buy it more. It's like it's
Yep.
not like it's going to stop them. So I think again, we're looking at a technology that came out as a first mover tech that's now going to be moving back into the infrastructure side where we're not going to see it
Yep.
because people
Yep.
aren't going to go buy just because it's electric. They're going to be like, that's the one I like, and I'll take the electric version. It's sort of my feel.
Exactly. Exactly. Shizzy said, I was looking into the loan Elon took out for Twitter using Tesla
Mm-hmm.
collateral. It's looking like getting $50. I guess and he can add tablets that.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit, buddy. I'll read them again. Shizzy took a look at the loan for Elon. There was a great article in New York Times, I think 2 days ago, on the exact breakdown of all whose money it all is. It came out because I thought there was a lot more Saudi money in that deal. There's only 2 billion, but it breaks down the whole bank deal with Morgan Stanley. So maybe you look there, but if you hadn't, take a look at that again too. It'll probably give you some more intel. Are you here, Brad, or can you talk?
Says, yeah, I'm here. Niblet says, can you hear me?
Go.
The Rivian truck looks fantastic, and yeah, F-150 looks great. Niblet says Tesla's profit center is to sell its carbon credits to other auto manufacturers. Yeah, I saw that as well. That's where most of their current profit that they book comes from. He said, as an all-electric, Tesla assimilated tons of carbon credits. The car is just the way to qualify for those credits. Makes total sense. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, if he makes profit from that, that's great. But as more and more of these ramp up, so or a market for these credits, there'll be more supply. So it's getting really interesting.
Yeah, and it'll come back to consumer choice. You know, what is the look and feel of the product that you want? Yeah. So I think it's all good. I mean, it's not as good for Elon, but I think he needs a little comeuppance here right now. He's making stupid moves. Brilliant guy.
Yeah, he's being
but can't man. Yeah, I mean, it's just you can see the personality. I mean, I don't want to call him a micromanager because a lot of strong leaders are that way. I don't like it personally, but he drives them supposedly, and I don't know how people could hold up or what the shtick is there. I mean, I don't really do well when there's some like obnoxious rich guy trying to drive me. It never ends well for him, so I just can't take it. But other people do. So let's not, diminish it, but he's in a tough spot right now. I think, we made that joke last week or a couple weeks ago that he needs to turn that boring company vertical and build his space elevator, and he'll have a 40-year runway of bullshit at that point.
Exactly. Connect them up. Lots of battery packs.
Yeah.
All right, Joe, that's all I've got today. Let's wrap it up if you're good.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm good.
All right.
Markets are sideways. When I looked last, I don't see, well, actually, U.S. is a little down. But half a point. I see a lot of red, but nothing draconian. So again, I think we're just going sideways. Nikkei futures are off a half a point for later. Nothing big is going to happen the rest of this week, as I see. The crypto stuff, BTC is at 16.6, ETH's below 1,200. Again, I don't see much to be concerned about there either.
Cool. Niblets, Eamon, Shizzy, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate and love you. Tomorrow, it's going to be the magnificent Sean on his normal Thursday interview with us. I may or may not be there. So it's going to be Joe and Sean most likely, with me maybe potentially joining in later. Niblet said, do you use money waiting on the sideline ready to jump in, or has it left? I'm not sure what he meant.
Yeah, Niblets. Quick clarification there, buddy.
Hey, listen, and if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please rate and review us. It just takes a couple of minutes, and it helps us boost in the algorithm. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you click the subscribe button, click the alerts so you get notified when a new episode hits, and don't forget to hit the thumbs up so we get that boost there as well. We appreciate and we love you. We'll be back tomorrow, either just Joe or Joe, me, and Sean. But thanks for listening, everybody. Joe, have a great afternoon. I'm out.
All right, I'm dialoguing with Sean, so we got some cool topics. I just did... See, not use. Okay, wait. Do you see money waiting to jump into the market, or has it gone elsewhere? For crypto, I think a lot of people are on the sideline. Yeah, equities and stuff. I think a lot of people are holding, but people can't sell real estate right now because they don't want to trip into a new higher pointed mortgage, so they're holding, so they can borrow against it. Savings are still up, but people are starting to charge more. So I think there's still money on the sideline, but I think everybody's kind of licking their wounds, waiting for the right time. And it's not right now, obviously.
Yep. All right, buddy. Well, everybody have a great day.